So many of you price your services too low because you're trying to appeal to everyone instead of the specific high value clients you want, where price is not their first, second, or third item on the criteria for what they want to buy. And I know there's a lot of cheapskates out there and there's a lot of price pushback. I don't know if my business, you don't think we get price pushback? Prices, oh, I can't afford it is the number one reason why people don't buy from us. Same reason you get it. We can't afford it. And like price is always, but it's never really the price. It's usually about something else, right? And so you want to find clients who want good IT support. They're not looking for cheap IT support. Okay. So because you've been beat up, you kind of get that in your head and your psyche, and you think nobody's going to spend money and nobody's going to pay these prices. And you start believing it. And it's because that stench of all the cheapskates is clinging to you. And you forget that, hey, you know what? There's higher value clients who want to pay for this. Maybe they're not as many as the larger majority who want cheap, but they're out there. And I got to price my services and build a company where the high value clients are building something for them. I'm not building it for everyone else who shops on price. Let my competitors have them. All right. 5 profit killers: pricing too low. We've already covered that. Fear, inability to sell because you don't have a good sales and marketing plan in place. So you kind of catch can, whatever. Lack of confidence in yourself. Not knowing what your actual gross margins are due because you have poor financial reporting and disciplines. And so then you get on a webinar like this and we say 150 a seat. And so you go, okay, we'll just do whatever we think, right? 150 a seat. So you just kind of do what everyone else is doing, but you really got to know, you got to have good financial reporting and disciplines. Otherwise, you're not going to know if you're making money or not. Not raising your prices annually while your costs steadily increase. I know Will's going to talk about that. How do you do an annual price increase? Overall poor billing. This is another one, is you guys do not have a good handle on like collecting money. I cannot, Will, I know you've had conversations with MSP. Like I had one client come to me and they told me because one of their engineers, who was a senior engineer, who was a partner in the business, I hate to say too, was not logging hours. And they found out like 8 months, 9 months after the fact that they had various clients that they had something insane. It was like $600,000 that they hadn't billed clients. And then they discover it and they go knock on these clients' door and go, sorry, we forgot. I know it's January, but we forgot to bill you since July. Can you pay this massive bill right now? And these clients shit a brick. A lot of them said, we don't know. Some of them refused to pay it.
Yes. You can't go back.
Yeah. So they had to eat it on some of them. Some clients said, I'm not paying that. That's, you didn't bill us. I don't think you did the work. Then the rest of them, they had to just lower, they negotiated like, okay, we'll pay 20% or 50%.
Yeah, several years ago, we were not monitoring our techs from an hour standpoint. Once we started enforcing putting their time in, we actually increased missed billing by $17,000 on average, $17,000 a month of missed billing because they were not putting time in.
Yeah,
so it's tracking, definitely tracking.
Yeah, or you have a client that adds 2 new employees and you deploy the workstations and everything else, and you forget to start billing them for managed services or whatever, or the licenses or something like that. So, that's another reason that you could be priced properly, but you're not collecting all the money that you should. And therefore that goes right off the bottom line, right? I mean, anything you don't, but every dollar is a full dollar off the bottom line, not just the margin on that, the full dollar on the bottom line, right? And then
you don't really know how profitable a customer is if your techs, even though it's, it may be all in managed services, right? And I hate to use that word, but it could be that package. And if you're not putting your time against the tickets, you don't know the profitability of that client on an ongoing basis. You could be losing, they could be paying you $50,000 a month, but you could be spending $57,000 a month in cost.
Yeah. So you got to have that. And then the other thing we see, obviously Will sees this more. He has more of these conversations, but adding new software tools and services and then not marking them up. So they look at something and I don't know, Will, give an example like, hey, this is only $5, right? So I'll just,
I see all the time, like, oh, this is only $1.25. You know what? I'm just going to add it to the client's package and give it to them for free. No, upsell that. That is the opportunity to upsell a new service. Because when you add something, you're taking from your bottom line, and that's just killing your profits.
Mm-hmm. Exactly right. So you got it. But again, I think it comes back to not having good financial disciplines and reporting, so one of the things you got to do is you got to get an accountant who can, or a bookkeeper who knows how to actually, give you financial reports, correctly. You got to have your employees got to, track their time, because otherwise you might have a client that's eating up your profits because it's got a super noisy environment and they're just clearing tickets, or they're a needy client. You might have another client that doesn't have that. So you got to, this is why you got to have really a discipline around this. And it is complicated. Okay. So what should you charge? Again, this is big general rule of thumb. So don't just take this as this is the right fit for everybody, but in general, project fees, 200 plus an hour. Full support fixed fee, 150 to 275 per seat. Partial support, and I'm going to show you what these are, 130 to 165 per seat. And these do not include projects, subscription software like Office, like 365 and other line of business apps, hardware, ads, moves, changes, because those are going to be professional services. And it doesn't, the services and tools you have in your stack determine your price. So again, don't just take these numbers without costing them out. So again, full support. So instead of all you can eat, you could call it full support. Can be per user, per device. Per user is most common. It's not all you can eat, because projects, moves, ads, changes, hardware, major network rebuilds, software, data storage, they're not included. If you include them, you got to adjust your pricing. And it typically is going to include monitoring, management of environment, help desk, managed security, on-site support, and fractional CIO, where you're doing planning, budgeting, doing that roadmap, documentation. Those are all like leadership strategies. Now, the partial is going to include all monitoring and maintenance, but projects, help desk support, on-site support are billed at an hourly rate. So you could go that route as well, where you're tracking things like any kind of services that are in a core maintenance, and you're billing for that.